My name's Toby Ascher, and I'm the producer of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Sonic 3 picks up right after the Knuckles TV show. Team Sonic has come together, but they're still figuring out how to work together as a team. In the first two movies, Sonic was still learning about his powers, but in this movie, we're going to see him tested for the first time. Shadow enters the story with a bang, and we see he's a challenge unlike anything Sonic has ever faced before. He's as fast as Sonic, and he's as strong as Knuckles, and will test our characters and their friendships in ways they've never seen before. In the first two Sonics, Jim managed to build in some of his classic physical comedy. And for this movie, we sort of leaned into a different style of his comedy. You know, his ability to deal with prosthetics and build characters that are truly unique. When we approached Jim about coming back in Sonic 3, we gave him a very specific challenge, which was to play not one, but two characters. Not only would he return as Ivo Robotnik, but he'd introduce a new character into the story, Gerald Robotnik, Ivo's 110-year-old grandfather. And what that meant was Jim would have to be in full prosthetics and build this new character, Shadow's creator, who's also a 110-year-old man. Ivo's relationship with Stone was also something that we spent a lot of time working on. You know, at the beginning of their story, they were very much a boss and sycophantic assistant. But as we've grown the franchise over 3 movies, we've seen that there's a real relationship between those characters. And in this movie, Ivo finally realizes Stone's value and what he means to him. It's such an incredible experience to be able to work with James Marsden and Tika Sumpter again as Tom and Maddie. You know, not only are they such brilliant comedians and their back and forth between them cracks us up every day, but there's so much heart to their characters as the sort of surrogate parents to Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. It's important to us that family is a large aspect of this story. And the dynamic between Tom and Maddie and Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles is a really heartfelt and emotional one. And we want audiences to almost feel like that was their family and that they'd love to be a part of our Sonic family. We're so lucky to have such a great cast that's been part of this franchise in Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, and we've been able to bring them all back in Sonic 3. So we brought back Natasha Rothwell and Shamar Moore, and Tom Butler and Adam Pally, and each has a pivotal role to play in this movie that we think is really fun and hilarious. Ben Schwartz is one of the best improvers alive, and he brings so much to this movie as Sonic, both in his performance, but his ability to improv and craft lines. Every time we go into an ADR session with Ben, we come out of it with something new and different and unexpected. And I think that's one of the keys to why Sonic works so well as a character. We never give up trying to tell a funnier joke or to try and beat something. And Ben is just such a great creative partner in doing that. Idris Elba is so funny in the role of Knuckles, and we've been so lucky over 2 movies and now a TV show to be able to work with him. I think he showcases in this franchise a comedic side that he doesn't often get to show in some of his other movies. We're so honored to continually work with Colleen as Tails. She's been doing this character for so many years, both in the animated shows and in the video games, and really understands who Tails is and what makes that character work better than anyone. The new addition of this movie is Keanu Reeves as Shadow. And that, for me and for Jeff and for everyone, is just so exciting for us. You know, Keanu Reeves is probably the best action star of our generation. And we just grew up loving his movies. And the idea that he's coming into our franchise to portray this dark, brooding version of Shadow is something that I'm so happy and so excited about, and I think fans are going to go crazy for. Shadow's story in this film has this really interesting parallel to Sonic's story. Whereas Sonic grew up and found Tom and Maddie and found this family, Shadow's sort of a what-if version of that, where what if Sonic didn't meet Tom and Maddie? What is the character that he would become? And ultimately we get to see that through Shadow as we learn, you know, that his version of Tom didn't have the happy ending that Sonic did. And I think it's really interesting to see the contrast between Shadow and Sonic throughout this movie. We were so lucky to go to Japan to shoot this movie, and we actually shot a sequence in Shibuya, which is the most trafficked crosswalk in the world. And we love that it's sort of a love letter to Japan, where Sonic was created. And so the movie opens in a neon set Tokyo as Shadow battles Team Sonic in one of the most epic action sequences we could possibly put on screen. In the Sonic franchise, there are these characters called Chows, who are very hard to adapt because they're sort of these metaphysical characters who don't necessarily fit that well into our grounded world. And we've been talking for a while about how we could possibly bring them into the franchise. And that sort of led to the Chow Garden set, which is a Japanese-themed restaurant that Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles have to hide out in Tokyo. And it allowed us to build a version of the Chow into these movies as giant mascots. Neil Moritz is an incredible producer, one of the greatest producers of all time, and we're so lucky to have him as our partner in making these movies. He understands how to make a theatrical tentpole, something that works for mass audiences better than anyone in the world. And his insight has really helped bring Sonic into the franchise that it is today.